Have you ever found yourself puzzled by that mysterious decline in your lower limb strength? Despite maintaining a healthy diet, regular exercise routine, and following all the conventional wisdom, do you notice staircases becoming increasingly challenging to climb? Does rising from a seated position demand more effort than it used to? Is this merely the natural progression of aging, or could there be an unsuspected culprit silently undermining your mobility? Here's where you might be startled by what I'm about to reveal. The issue often isn't what you're neglecting to do. It's something you're actively consuming daily without recognizing its detrimental impact on your body. Countless older adults unknowingly make this same dietary mistake every single day. They do so with complete confidence, believing they're making health-conscious choices because they've been conditioned throughout their lives to think that all fruits are naturally wholesome and beneficial for their well-being. While most fruits do offer nutritional benefits, here's the uncomfortable truth that's rarely discussed in mainstream health circles. Not every fruit is appropriate for seniors' unique physiological needs. In fact, certain commonly consumed fruits, the very ones that appear in our grocery carts week after week without a second thought, can gradually diminish leg strength, trigger knee discomfort, intensify joint inflammation, and make everyday walking increasingly laborious. Those supposedly healthy fruits prominently featured in health magazines and wellness blogs might actually be compromising your mobility, balance, and lower body strength. As our bodies journey through the aging process, significant physiological transformations occur. Our circulatory system becomes less efficient, our metabolic processes decelerate, and foods that once nourished and energized our bodies can begin to subtly undermine our health, particularly certain fruits. These seemingly innocent treats, with their appealing sweet flavors, contain substantial amounts of acids, carbohydrates, and compounds that destabilize blood glucose levels, trigger inflammatory responses in joints, and progressively weaken your leg muscles. What makes this particularly concerning is that the damage occurs incrementally, so subtle and imperceptible that you might not recognize it until suddenly you experience sharp calf pain, persistent discomfort in your thighs, or unusual tightness around your knee joints after just a brief walk around the neighborhood. The connection between your fruit consumption and these symptoms isn't immediately obvious, making it difficult to identify the true source of your discomfort. Today, I'm going to unveil the 7 most problematic fruits that anyone over 60 should seriously consider eliminating from their diet, especially if you're committed to protecting your legs from long-term damage, chronic pain, and progressive weakness. Despite their innocent appearance and reputation as health foods, none of these fruits deserve an unquestioned place in your daily nutrition plan. After learning these evidence-based insights, you'll never look at your fruit bowl quite the same way again. So stay with me through this entire presentation if you value maintaining strong, stable, and pain-free legs well into your golden years. Your body might have been waiting for precisely this wake-up call to reclaim its vitality and strength. The information I'm about to share could transform your mobility and quality of life. But before we dive deeper into this crucial topic, take a moment to hit that subscribe button and activate notifications if you're genuinely concerned about optimizing your health. This channel is dedicated to uncovering those hidden health truths that rarely get discussed elsewhere, and I want to know you're joining me on this journey. If this video resonates with your experiences, type 1 in the comments section below. If not, feel free to type 0. Your engagement helps shape our future content and supports our community of health-conscious individuals. Let's begin exploring our list with a fruit that's widely celebrated for its supposed anti-inflammatory properties, but might actually be triggering the opposite reaction in older adults. I'm talking about pineapple, the first fruit on our list and a silent instigator of inflammation in aging bodies. Pineapple, with its tropical allure, juicy texture and refreshing taste, has long been hailed for its bromelain content, an enzyme frequently praised for its natural anti-inflammatory effects. But here's the surprising twist. While many believe pineapple reduces inflammation, it may actually be quietly fueling inflammatory processes in seniors' bodies. You see, pineapple contains potent acids and natural sugars that aren't as harmless as they might seem, particularly for individuals over 60. Let me explain the physiological mechanism at work here. As we age, our blood vessels become increasingly delicate and sensitive. They no longer respond to sugar fluctuations with the resilience they once had. Despite its beneficial properties, pineapple delivers a substantial dose of natural sugar directly into your bloodstream. What happens next? Your blood sugar levels spike rapidly. As a consequence, the tiny blood vessels supplying your leg muscles, feet, and supporting tissues can sustain cumulative damage from these repeated sugar surges. Over time, as microcirculation deteriorates, less oxygen reaches your leg tissues, resulting in a cascade of uncomfortable symptoms: persistent fatigue, troublesome swelling, and that characteristic dull, dragging ache in your legs after even minimal physical activity. You might notice increased stiffness in your knees when standing, or unexplained ankle pain, even after a day of relative inactivity. But there's more to this story. Beyond its sugar content, pineapple is highly acidic. This acidity can aggravate joint irritation, especially if you already experience inflammation or arthritic conditions. It essentially adds fuel to the inflammatory fire already smoldering in your ankles, knees, and hips, exacerbating existing discomfort and potentially creating new pain points. Some seniors report feeling unusual heaviness in their legs after consuming pineapple, as if their strength is gradually being sapped away with each bite. This sensation isn't merely psychological, it reflects real physiological changes occurring within your muscle tissues and circulatory system. There's another critical consideration for seniors: medication interactions. If you're taking any prescription medications, particularly blood thinners, you should be aware that bromelain, that celebrated enzyme in pineapple, can interact with certain drugs, potentially making them either excessively potent or insufficiently effective. This interaction can create dangerous health situations that go far beyond simple leg discomfort, perhaps the most insidious aspect of pineapple's effect on aging bodies is the absence of immediate, obvious negative reactions. There's typically no clear warning sign or instant pain that would alert you to the problem. Instead, the damage accumulates gradually and silently until one day you realize your mobility has significantly declined from what it once was. What makes this particularly heartbreaking is that most seniors have no idea that the very fruit they're consuming for its supposed health benefits might be contributing to the progressive weakening they experience in their legs year after year. So what practical steps can you take? You don't necessarily need to completely eliminate pineapple from your life, but moderation becomes crucial, particularly if you've been experiencing unexplained persistent leg pain or unusual swelling. The damage might be subtle, but it's genuinely impacting your quality of life and long-term mobility. Now, if pineapple, with its renowned anti-inflammatory properties, can have such adverse effects on aging legs, what about the next fruit on our list? This one is soft, delicious, and famous for supposedly boosting muscle strength and potassium levels, but it might be secretly betraying your trust and undermining your mobility. Let's examine bananas, the second fruit on our list, and what I call the muscle imposter. Bananas appear to be the perfect food, soft, sweet, and rich in potassium. They're widely promoted as providing sustained energy, preventing muscle cramps, and supporting overall muscle function. However, for seniors, the physiological reality tells a different story. Bananas contain abundant natural sugars and rapidly digestible carbohydrates. What this means for your body is that shortly after consumption, your blood glucose levels experience a significant spike, eventually leading to insulin resistance when this pattern repeats frequently. As this process unfolds, circulation becomes compromised, systemic inflammation increases, and your leg muscles suffer the consequences. You might notice a dull ache when walking or climbing stairs, an unusual heaviness in your legs after meals, and persistent stiffness in your calf muscles that doesn't seem to resolve with stretching or movement. But the story doesn't end there. Bananas also contribute to increased fluid retention, especially for individuals with cardiac concerns. This results in stiff joints, swollen feet, and puffy ankles that make movement uncomfortable and challenging. The most troubling aspect of this is how imperceptible the connection seems. You consume bananas believing they'll support muscle health, but instead they're gradually diminishing your strength and mobility. The full impact won't manifest immediately. However, over time, regular banana consumption might make movement increasingly difficult and exacerbate discomfort throughout your lower body. If you frequently experience heavy, aching, or swollen legs, it might be worth reconsidering the role bananas play in your diet. They may not be the benevolent food they initially appear to be, but what if an even smaller fruit could cause similar problems? Despite their petite size and innocent appearance, they might be triggering significant joint inflammation. Let's examine grapes, the third fruit on our list and a major contributor to inflammatory responses in aging bodies. Grapes present themselves as harmless, small, juicy, convenient for snacking, and come with an impressive reputation for heart health and antioxidant content. Yet many people remain unaware that these tiny fruits might be causing mild but persistent leg pain, stiffness, and inflammation in older adults. Why does this happen? Grapes contain high levels of fructose, a type of sugar that can be harmful when consumed in substantial quantities. Fructose is metabolized directly by the liver, and when your liver cannot process it completely, it converts to fat and uric acid. This is where the real damage begins, particularly affecting your toes, ankles, and knees. Uric acid accumulates in your joints, creating a burning sensation and swelling that comes and goes, that nagging discomfort that makes even light walking challenging. Have you experienced that sharp pain in your big toe during the night, or unexpected stiffness in your calf muscles upon waking? The culprit might be something as seemingly innocent as a handful of grapes elevating your uric acid levels. Furthermore, fructose fuels chronic inflammation throughout your body, resulting in decreased mobility, increased pressure on joints, and persistent stiffness. Grapes are also deceptively easy to overconsume. Their small size makes them perfect for mindless snacking, and before you realize it, you've eaten 2 or 3 cups, with their sugar content quickly accumulating in your system. While grapes might appear to be a nutritious snack option, they could be subtly compromising your leg strength, reducing your flexibility, and making movement less comfortable as you age. If you've been consuming grapes regularly and have noticed increasing joint stiffness and swelling, this connection deserves your attention. Beyond these small fruits, there are other seemingly innocent options that can cause similar problems. Our next fruit is juicy, colorful, and famous for its hydrating properties. But don't be deceived. While it might taste like water, it functions like pure sugar in your system. Let's examine watermelon, the 4th fruit on our list, and what I call the false hydrator. Watermelon epitomizes refreshment, light, revitalizing, the very symbol of hydration and summer enjoyment. Could this water-rich fruit really be silently damaging your legs? It seems counterintuitive, since conventional wisdom tells us watermelon is an excellent hydration source, feels light in the stomach, contains minimal calories, and consists primarily of water. Here's the hidden truth. Watermelon has an extremely high glycemic index. This means it raises blood sugar levels rapidly, similar to consuming candy. These frequent sugar spikes cause significant damage to seniors' bodies, particularly affecting leg function and comfort. Let's break down the physiological process. When your blood sugar rises quickly, your body releases insulin in response. However, in aging bodies, insulin regulation becomes less efficient, resulting in widespread inflammation, especially in areas with already compromised circulation. Where does this inflammation predominantly manifest? In your calves, ankles, and knees, the very parts of your body essential for mobility and independence. You might notice immediate leg fatigue after consumption, a dull ache during short walks, persistent swelling around your ankles, or find that climbing stairs suddenly feels like scaling a mountain, while watermelon feels light and refreshing on your palate. Internally, it acts as a deceptive trap, gradually compromising your leg strength and comfort. People tend to consume watermelon in large quantities precisely because it's juicy and refreshing. One slice becomes 2, then 3, introducing more sugar into your system, creating more metabolic stress and fueling more inflammation. The deception lies in believing you're primarily consuming water, when in reality your blood sugar is spiking dramatically, your circulatory system is struggling to compensate, and your legs are bearing the consequences of this metabolic burden. Does watermelon truly help seniors stay hydrated, or does each bite subtly increase the discomfort associated with movement? If you've been enjoying watermelon regularly and have noticed your legs feeling increasingly fatigued, it might be time to reconsider this dietary choice. Let's move on to a fruit universally associated with vitamin C, health juices, immune-boosting drinks, and breakfast tables worldwide. For seniors, however, this fruit might be launching an acidic assault on their joints. Let's examine oranges, the fifth fruit on our list and what I call the joint acid attacker. Oranges appear everywhere in our health consciousness. Bright, wonderfully aromatic, and ubiquitous in juices, health supplements, and breakfast assortments. They're celebrated for immune system support due to their vitamin C content. However, for adults over 60, oranges might be concealing an uncomfortable reality that impacts mobility and comfort. Behind that citrus glow lies significant acidity, something your joints profoundly dislike. Oranges are rich in citric acid, and while that might seem innocuous, it can trigger silent joint irritation, especially if your body is already contending with inflammation, stiffness, or arthritic conditions. You might notice a gradual morning, stiffness in your knees, persistent hip discomfort, an uncomfortable sensation in your legs after sitting for extended periods, diminished range of motion, and increased joint swelling. You might attribute these symptoms to natural aging processes, but that allegedly healthy habit of drinking orange juice every morning could be contributing to the very discomfort you're trying to avoid. Here's the physiological mechanism. The citric acid in oranges affects more than just your digestive system. It enters your bloodstream and can exacerbate irritation in your joints' delicate tissues. When combined with the fruit's natural sugars, it creates blood sugar fluctuations that result in systemic inflammation. This inflammation extends to your knees, ankles, and calves, making each step feel heavier and more painful. While oranges might not adversely affect younger individuals with resilient systems, the impact develops gradually in older adults with aging joints and decreased circulation. The most challenging aspect of this situation is that you're consuming oranges, believing you're supporting your health, as they've been associated with wellness for generations. Now you understand they might not be serving your mobility goals or overall comfort. What about our next fruit? It looks clean and crisp, appears green and fresh, and contains less sugar than many alternatives. Many consider it the safe choice, but it harbors compounds that can lead to nighttime cramping, knee stiffness, and hip discomfort. Let's examine green apples, the sixth fruit on our list and a hidden contributor to leg pain in seniors. Green apples project an image of crispness, cleanliness, and natural wholesomeness. Most people, especially seniors, believe they represent a healthier option because they taste less sweet than their red counterparts. They seem like the perfect low-sugar snack choice. However, what most people don't realize is that green apples might be silently causing fatigue, stiffness, and leg discomfort in older adults. Two components create this problem: malic acid and hidden natural sugars. Let's first address malic acid, the compound responsible for the tart flavor of green apples. While it's well tolerated by younger digestive systems, our gut lining becomes increasingly sensitive with age. Once absorbed into the bloodstream, malic acid can irritate various tissues, including joint structures. Some seniors experience pronounced hip or thigh pain after consuming apples, while others notice a subtle burning sensation in their feet or tightness around their knee joints. The onset is gradual, but over time, the acid accumulates in the system and the discomfort becomes more frequent and intense. Regarding sugar content, despite tasting less sweet than red varieties, green apples still contain substantial natural sugars. These sugars trigger blood glucose fluctuations in seniors with slower metabolic rates. You might notice tired calves, nighttime leg cramps, morning stiffness, or weakness when climbing stairs. The most problematic aspect is that green apples are frequently consumed raw as convenient snacks or even before bedtime, keeping their effects constantly present in the body. They appear wholesome and pure, but for aging bodies, green apples might be subtly compromising mobility, stiffening joints, and making evenings more uncomfortable with disruptive leg symptoms. If a fruit as basic as an apple can cause these issues, what about a tropical, rich, and extremely sweet option beloved by many? Let's examine mangoes, the seventh fruit on our list and what I call the joint sugar bomb. Mangoes, juicy, tender, and almost candy-like in their sweetness, are universally adored, especially during warmer months. Yet here's the uncomfortable truth. Mangoes might be the most detrimental fruit for seniors experiencing joint weakness and leg discomfort. Why? Because mangoes contain extraordinarily high levels of natural sugar, not just a little, but a substantial sugar load that triggers rapid and dramatic blood glucose spikes. While a young, active body under 30 might efficiently process this sugar surge, metabolism fundamentally changes after age 60. That sugar rush creates an insulin spike followed by a crash, and each time this occurs, your body produces inflammation deep within joint structures, particularly in the soft tissues surrounding your ankles, knees, and hips. If you have neuropathic issues, you might experience burning sensations in your toes, persistent tingling, evening foot swelling, or progressive heaviness in your legs. Because mangoes taste light and refreshing and don't feel like a substantial meal, it's easy to consume them in larger quantities, which only compounds the problem. The deception lies in the disconnect between perception and physiological reality. The feeling of lightness is irrelevant to how your body processes the sugar load. Over time, this sugar consumption pattern can contribute to joint pain, compromised walking ability, and unstable leg function. Many seniors eat mangoes believing they're enjoying a natural treat, which they are, but natural doesn't automatically translate to safe for aging circulatory systems and joints. Now that you understand the complete picture, how 7 supposedly healthy fruits actually have detrimental effects for adults over 60. Here's the encouraging news. Certain fruits produce the opposite effect, promoting strong, stable legs, reducing joint pain, and combating inflammation. Let's Explore these therapeutic alternatives and what seniors should consume instead. Because consuming appropriate fruits does more than satisfy hunger. It actively heals your body. First, let's discuss berries, blackberries, raspberries, blueberries, and similar varieties. These small fruits function as powerful anti-inflammatory agents with minimal impact on blood sugar, high antioxidant content, and low sugar levels. Most importantly, they improve circulation, particularly in the legs, promoting easier movement, fighting stiffness, and reducing swelling. Next, consider cherries, consumed in moderation. Cherries can actually help reduce uric acid levels, decreasing the risk of gout flare-ups and joint pain episodes. They alleviate sore joints and that burning sensation in your knees or toes. Just a small handful, not an excessive amount, can provide significant relief. Then there's avocado. Yes, it's technically a fruit and one of the best options for supporting joint health. Why? Because avocados contain abundant healthy fats that reduce internal inflammation and cushion your joints. Additionally, they help regulate insulin, providing consistent energy without the blood sugar fluctuations that damage circulatory systems. Looking for something gentle on your digestive system? Try papaya. This tender tropical fruit contains enzymes that help reduce inflammation and support digestion. It's gentle on aging joints and doesn't stress sensitive stomachs. Remember also to include pears, paired with a small amount of fiber or protein. They provide subtle sweetness without excessive sugar content and supply energy without overstressing your leg structures. Each of these recommended fruits works synergistically with your body rather than against it. They don't cause discomfort or swelling, but help your system achieve the vitality, balance, and tranquility it naturally seeks. Remember that successful aging isn't simply about consuming any fruit, it's about selecting the appropriate varieties for your current physiological needs. When you make these conscious choices, you'll begin noticing the benefits: firmer steps, more comfortable movement, and clearer, pain-free mornings. Let me conclude with some final thoughts and a personal message specifically for you. If you've stayed with me throughout this presentation, that tells me something important. You genuinely care about your future health, strength, and overall well-being. I want you to hear this message clearly. It's not too late to make beneficial changes. You still have ample opportunity to reclaim your strength and mobility, and you're certainly not alone in this journey. The aging process presents unique challenges. The pain, stiffness, and fear of falling develop gradually, sometimes creating the discouraging impression that your body is betraying you. But here's the empowering reality. You can take control through intelligent, moderate adjustments rather than extreme measures. One meal, one fruit, and one decision at a time. While the fruits we've discussed today aren't inherently harmful, they might no longer be optimal choices for your current physiological needs. And that's perfectly acceptable. Aging successfully isn't about deprivation. It's about making smarter choices aligned with your body's changing requirements. When you begin eating mindfully and selecting foods that specifically support strength, circulation, and joint health, you'll notice remarkable differences: reduced discomfort, improved flexibility, more comfortable mornings, and lighter, more confident steps. That's the ultimate purpose of sharing this knowledge. Not to create fear or impose limitations, but to empower you with evidence-based information that enhances your quality of life. I'd love to hear your thoughts now. Share what you've learned today and what dietary changes you're prepared to implement in the comment section below. When we share our experiences and insights, we all benefit from collective wisdom. If this video has been valuable to you or has expanded your understanding of nutrition for aging bodies, please hit the like button to help others discover this crucial information. Click subscribe to ensure you don't miss future content that could transform your health journey and activate notifications by clicking the bell icon. Before you leave, please type 1 in the comments if you found this information useful, or 0 if it didn't resonate with your experience. Your feedback shapes our future content and strengthens our community. Remember that your legs literally carry your independence through life. Protect them with the knowledge you've gained today.